Listen, I'm not letting Rose leave just yet because she smells good and you look good too. Ladies and gentlemen, talk to me again about this Good Samaritan Parish Festival, and then we're going to talk to Dave Pasquale about, well, folks, the automobile industry that I absolutely love. And by the way, speaking of the automobile industry and Ambridge, which I love Ambridge, Bobby Wright Automotive, he and his brother Kenny made a major investment right along Ohio Boulevard many years ago. Buick GMC, doing great. I bought many cars off of him. Absolutely love Bobby and Kenny Wright, and it's the right choice. They also donated a lot of their money to put their nameplate on that beautiful field house, the home of the Ambridge Bridgers, yes, which many people believe, 1967, the greatest basketball team ever, Weissig and company, played on that hardwood. So I just wanted to talk, before we talk automobiles, about Bobby Wright. He means a lot to me. But talk about your Good Samaritan Parish Festival.
Well, I will say one more thing about Bobby Wright. Bobby Wright contributes to our parish festival as well. He's a great man. He's good to us. He's very good to a Good Samaritan Parish. So buy your cars at Bobby Wright.
All right, speaking of cars, what was the first car you ever owned? Working at American Airlines forever, you probably
Pontiac Le Mans.
New?
Was that what it was? Yeah, it was my first
nice.
car.
Remember where you bought it?
Moon Township.
Did you? Mm-hmm. Really? Not off of John Soretti?
No, not off of John
Falcones.
Soretti. It's Falcones,
Lou.
right. Yeah,
See?
Lou Falcones.
I know my cars, folks. Listen, I love you.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
I love
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll see you at the festival.
All right, here we go. Every time I try to get out, they just drag me back in. All right, here we go, folks. Dave Pasquale. David, you know, Tony Sinatra, a guy who has made his living in the steel industry, and he's now working with the great Pat Gallagher. His wife, Beth Tarasi, by the way, is running for Congress against Keith Rothfus, and we're hoping to talk to her in about a week or so. Wonderful lady, former Pitt basketball player. She's a lawyer by trade. Love that family. But the reason I bring all this up, Pat Gallagher has hauled steel. Tony Sinatra has sold steel. And you, in the steel industry for years, know all about what it's meant for the car industry. So the other night, suffering from insomnia, and I'm trying to get to sleep because I've got to get up at 1:30, all of a sudden the History Channel comes on, Cars That Made America. Well, boom, I was locked in, and I found it very fascinating, as I did the men who built America, Frick and Carnegie and Morgan. Well, this was about Henry Ford, the folks at General Motors, and the Chrysler people as well, and what they did as far as putting people back to work, getting us through the Depression, helping the war effort, and also creating major highways through Franklin Delano Roosevelt's WPA work program. And thus they had to build better cars that would go longer and run faster and get people out into the suburbs to take them to places they never went before. So thus the home construction industry boomed as well post-World War II. Do you think the average person knows that there's more to the automobile industry than just Henry Ford and the Model T, which, by the way, was pretty significant? 15 million of them he made before his son Edsel took over, and then Henry Ford II, a big part of what happened in the 50s post-World War II. He, a war veteran himself. So the automobile industry has a lot of deep roots in Western Pennsylvania and across this great country.
Hey, Robbie, it's always good to be with you. Lest you forget, Lee Iacocca was just such a boon to the American car industry. Come along and saved Chrysler pretty much with the K car, and did a complete turnaround with that company when it was failing and in very deep trouble. Lee Iacocca was a master and saved that industry. I think not only Chrysler the K car, but also the American car industry took wings when Iacocca got involved with them.
Here's something else, and you and I have a lot of love for Asia and the great country of Japan. Little do people know, and I'm glad you started off with Lee Iacocca. It's almost like we planned this, because I wanted to eventually get to what he did by partnering up with Mitsubishi, and that opened up the door, that window of opportunity. And I've said before that the only place the global economy really works every day is the automobile industry. You have people like Toyota, who are selling close to 8 million cars a year, building plants in the United States, putting people back to work. The great people at Honda, those Mitsubishi engines. And Lee Iacocca also did the Buy American campaign with the K car, and the first minivan came from Lee Iacocca too. So this is really amazing when you think what these gentlemen in this automobile industry has done, not just for America, but for the world.
Well, absolutely, and I think we learned so much from the Japanese about quality in the car making and the car industry We started to lose that at one time. The American cars, I think we got to a point where we felt that the competition wasn't great enough to defeat the American car industry, but the Japanese came along and with the quality of their cars, made us realize that we've got to get better, and there's got to be continuous improvement from a quality standpoint in the car manufacturing industry in this country. We did that. And right now, I think we're in pretty fair competition, not only with the Japanese, but the Koreans too, with Hyundai and cars like that have come a long way with the quality of their product. And that's where it's at today. Pricing is good, and if you're always looking for a better price, but without the quality, it just doesn't make it.
Listen, Uber's got a new CEO, and something that I really got excited about today, Ford, which is still an iconic brand, going to maybe test drive driverless cars with Domino's Pizza. So that means they're coming to my house, folks, frequently. I love that Domino's Pizza. And who do I tip, by the way, is what I want to know. But here's the thing. The automobile industry, it's just, I think, on the doorstep of a great future. And some of the other names, people like Kia, what they have done by coming to this country and making it affordable for a young college student or a first-time home buyer to be able to have a little extra cash to go out and get that second car. I think it's just a great partnership. But then I go back to where it really all started and the men that really made these cars and the cars that made America. I found it fascinating that we did not produce any new cars in this country during World War II. The government said, look, you got to help build weapons, and I mean weapons from tanks to jet engines. Whatever it takes, you got to retool everything and get it done. And these gentlemen stepped up and did just that. But then you have these GIs coming back from World War II, fearless and needing that speed, if you will, and the excitement that many of them left behind fighting for this country. So what did they do? Hot rods and muscle cars like the Bel Air and the Chevy, 1955, the 57, the T-Bird. So it really kind of just continues to go seamless, if you will, when you think about bits and pieces and timelines along the way that made this country great. These cars and the people behind them are the reason why this country is still great today. And I've said before, the automobile industry, the auto workers, they're the driving force of this country. And here's something else in closing. You and I both like to follow the stock market. Where would we be without automobiles and Wall Street, the bulls and bears, and the oil industry, the gas that goes into these cars? It's incredible, and I just hope people understand, if you haven't seen the cars that made America, you have to check it out on the History Channel. But every time you drive by an automobile dealership or you drive by someone who's, rotating tires or giving state inspections, it all matters, doesn't it, when it comes to the business matrix of the United States and the global economy, Dave?
Rob, you're spot on about World War II and the fact that the American car industry converted most of their manufacturing plants to weapons manufacturing as opposed to cars. But then post-World War II, again, they got back on the trail of making cars, and who could forget the 1956 T-Bird? Especially the one that played in American Graffiti. If you remember that movie, it was an iconic car at the time, and I think the success of the T-Bird helped Ford in a great part to resurrect their company from World War II to post-World War II into a automobile manufacturing facility more so than a weapons manufacturing company. And I think that was in and of itself, those kinds of cars, the T-Bird and the Buick Riviera came along with the wire wheels and the convertible tops, and I think it resurrected the American car industry. But the one thing that resurrected it more than anything was the fact that they realized that in order to be successful, you had to have a quality product. And in recent years, the American car industry, I think, has adopted that philosophy of continuous improvement and taken it from a page on the Japanese manufacturing. And they've been so successful. The one nice thing about the Japanese automobile manufacturers are, sure, the profits go back to Japan, but there are a lot of Japanese car manufacturers located in this country, providing jobs for American workers. So that part of it is not all bad.
That's why when you still see those three letters, U.S. Steel, it still matters. Steel matters, and because of this automobile industry and because of the partnership with the steel industry, we still have a huge reason to say we are the country that built the world. And from that V8 engine to the Chevy small block, ladies and gentlemen, put your pedal to the metal. Life can get a little fast and furious, but ain't it a sweet ride? All right, Dave Pasquale, always a pleasure. Take care of yourself. We'll talk again real soon.
Thanks, Rob. Good to talk to you.
All right, good night from the club at Shadow Lakes.
Bye-bye.